They kept talking through the baby monitor, but the baby had been dead for weeks. Reddit calls itself the front page of the internet. But buried beneath the jokes, memes, and AMAs lie threads so dark, so deeply disturbing, they'll stick with you long after you've closed the tab. These are not just ghost stories. They're real accounts, posted by real people. And each one will make you ask, what if it happened to me? 5 most disturbing Reddit threads. Thread number 1. What's the most disturbing secret you've discovered about someone close to you? Reddit is a place where people share their deepest, darkest secrets. Today, we're diving into one chilling question. What's the most disturbing secret you've discovered about someone close to you? Here are 5 horrifying responses. 1. The dying man's final betrayal. A woman recounts her father's death from cancer, only to find his phone filled with messages to a 19-year-old girl he met as her high school bus driver. While his family begged for a final goodbye, he spent his last hours whispering, "I love you," to a teenager. 2. The best friend's twisted plan. A woman moved states to reunite with her best friend, only to discover the friend was manipulating her marriage, offering herself as a plan B while secretly begging the husband for his sperm. The couple fled, changing their numbers to escape her obsession. 3. The basement baby. An aunt, at just 13 years old, was raped by her uncle and gave birth in a basement cellar. The baby died and she buried it with her sister. Decades later, her family blamed her instead of the predator. 4. The predator exposed. A man's best friend was caught in a pedophile sting, filmed trying to meet a 13-year-old. The video went viral, destroying his life and leaving his loved ones in shock. 5. The suicide shrine. A daughter found her mother's hidden scrapbook, a shrine to an ex who killed himself after their breakup. Her grandfather had discovered the body, a secret buried for 20 years. Would you want to know the truth or live in ignorance? Thread number 2. Truck drivers. What's a creepy story you've got from the middle of nowhere? There's something about the middle of nowhere that brings out the bizarre. These Redditors shared their creepiest encounters, and each one is more unsettling than the last. Shadows in the outback. A trucker, sleeping in the vast Australian outback, awoke to his cab violently shaking and shadows circling the vehicle. Was it goats, wind, or something darker that wanted in? The road trap. While driving through North Dakota, a man saw 2 bodies lying across his lane. As he slowed, they didn't move. Remembering an old trucker's warning, he drove off, only to see them stand and walk to the roadside, a trap avoided by inches. The bloody woman. In a rural area, a trash collector met a petite woman covered in blood, claiming she was there to move a dead deer, alone. No explanation for the blood. No one sent her. Just eerie silence as she drove toward the lake. I ain't got no panties on. Alone on an abandoned highway at 3 a.m., a trucker's CB radio flickered on. Static. Then a deep southern voice whispered, "I ain't got no panties on." Not a single car in sight. Woke up next to a murder. One driver awoke in a parking lot surrounded by police. A man had been shot and dumped just 15 feet from his truck. He never even heard it happen. Thread number 3. What was a strange experience you had as a child that you didn't know was incredibly disturbing until you were older? The previous owner's story was almost certainly a kidnapping attempt. The dog lady didn't recognize the woman, which was a huge red flag. Dogs usually react excitedly to familiar people. The growling and protective stance suggests the woman was a threat. The fact that the actual owner had raised Lady since puppyhood confirms the stranger was lying. Post 2. A co-worker of the dad's tried to lure a 3- or 4-year-old into his truck with the promise of a cool booster seat. The child's confusion over the booster seat details delayed the kidnapping attempt. The dad, walking out and immediately punching the guy, suggests he recognized the danger. The brazenness of trying this in a work parking lot is chilling. Post 3. A small child finding a real, unloaded revolver and treating it like a toy is terrifying. The fact that the trigger was too hard to pull may have prevented accidental discharge if it had been loaded. The mom's calm reaction is surprising. Most parents would panic upon finding their kid with a real gun. The gun's origin, why was it in the street, is a mystery, but it could have been lost or discarded after a crime. Post 4. A group of kids, ages 9 to 10, finding a gay porn magazine in a public bathroom stall was already odd. The realization that a naked man had planted it there as bait is horrifying. His sudden appearance, fully nude, suggests he was waiting for them to engage with the magazine. The kids' laughter, out of nervousness or confusion, may have unintentionally diffused the situation, but the intent was clearly predatory. Thread number 4. What are the most disturbing, weird things you have experienced while deployed? In Afghanistan, war zones are filled with danger, but sometimes it's not the combat that sticks with you. It's the strange, the silent, and the downright disturbing moments soldiers carry home. The Siege of Marja. During the 2010 invasion of Marja, one soldier recalls constant artillery, drones, medevacs, and smoke rising beyond the hills. His unit wasn't allowed to fight, just help refugees. The guilt lingered, so did the pain and the loneliness of wartime routine. A chilling quote. An Afghan police officer casually said, "Girls are for repopulation, boys are for fun." Sometimes horror doesn't need combat. The green light. On patrol, a blinding green light appeared overhead, bright enough to cast shadows yet completely silent. It hovered for 90 seconds and vanished. No one could explain it. NVGs were useless, alien, flare, still unknown. The radio ear. After an ambush, Marines recovered a radio with a human ear attached to it, but none of the dead had missing ears. The team spent days watching for a one-eared man caught on thermal. A soldier scanning through thermal goggles spotted 2 Afghan soldiers inside the same sleeping bag. Not disturbing, just unexpected. Thread number 5. Night Watchmen of Reddit. What is the creepiest thing you have experienced while working? Night shifts tend to blur the line between reality and hallucination, but for some night watchmen, the darkness hides things far worse than boredom. Shift psychosis. Alone in a massive, dimly lit call center, one guard became convinced the undead were stalking him. He kept walking, believing if he stopped, they'd catch him. At 3:30 a.m., he called his girlfriend, whispering, "I'm eluding them," then laughed manically, eyes in the bush. While racing through bushland near a power station, a guard stopped and saw 2 orange, glowing eyes at eye level in the trees. They moved with a slow, loping stride, too high to be any pig. He suspects a big cat. He never left the truck again. Screams in the woods. A pool maintenance worker would sit by the water late at night when sudden, agonizing squeals echoed from the woods. He listened, frozen, as rabbits were torn apart by fisher cats, right down to the sounds of flesh being chewed. Prison horror. A prison guard's grandfather told him about one inmate who repeatedly mutilated himself, specifically cutting off his own genitals, just to be transferred to a hospital. It happened 3 times before he was taken seriously. The guard quit soon after. Final thoughts. These stories may sound like fiction, urban legends told in the dead of night, but many of them have follow-ups, confirmations, even police reports. And that's what makes them truly disturbing, because they didn't happen in haunted houses or horror films. They happened in trucks, homes, bathrooms, and war zones, to regular people, just like you. So now we have to ask, which story haunted you the most? The fake dog owner, the glowing eyes in the woods, or the man with a radio in someone else's ear? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one of them. And if you're still feeling brave, in the next episode, the most terrifying 911 calls ever recorded.